where economic agents, be they firms or individuals, try to make themselves as well off as possible given their constraints. Yeah?
Will this cover irrationality?
I will, but not as much as I should. Essentially, we have another course in the department called 1413, Behavioral Economics, which gets in that much more. I will sprinkle it throughout, but not as much as I actually believe in it. In other words, the way to think about economics is it's best to sort of get the basics down before you start worrying about the deviations. Find it's better to climb the tree before you start going out in the branches. Okay, so basically, what this course is then about is it's about trade-offs. It's about how do you, given that you're constrained, how do you trade off things to make yourself as well off as possible? And behind this notion of trade-offs is going to be, I'll say about 100 times, this is the most important thing in the course, so just ignore that. But this is one of the most important things, I'll say one of the most important things in the course, is the notion of opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is a very important concept that we teach, sort of the first concept we teach, which is that every action or every inaction has a cost and that you could have been doing something else instead. Okay? So if you buy a shirt, you could have bought pants. If you sit at home and watch TV, you could have been out working. Everything you do has a next best alternative you could have done instead. And that is called the opportunity cost. Okay? And that's a critical concept in economics. And that is why, in some sense, we are referred to casually as the dismal science. Economics is referred to as the dismal science. First of all, I'm flattered we're considered a science. But we're called the dismal science because our whole point is that nothing is free. There's always a trade-off. There's always an opportunity cost. Anything you do, you could be doing something else instead. Okay? And your constrained optimization means you're going to have to pass up one thing to do another. Now, some may call it dismal, but as a former MIT undergraduate, I call it fun. And this is why I think MIT is the perfect place to be teaching economics. Because MIT engineering is all about constrained optimization. That's what engineering is. And economics is just the engine. It's just the principles you learn in engineering applied in different contexts. So if we think about the 2007 contest, that still exists with the robots? 2007? Yeah. Okay, the 2007 contest, for those who know, is a contest where you're given a limited set of materials and you have to build a robot that does some tasks like pushing ping pong balls off a table or something like that. Okay? That's just constrained optimization. It's got nothing to do with economics, but it's constrained optimization. So just think of microeconomics as like engineering, but actually interesting. Okay? So think of microeconomics as engineering, but instead of building something to push a ping pong ball off tables, you actually build people's lives and businesses and understand the decisions that drive our economy. Okay? So it's the same principles that you could think of for your engineering classes, but applied to people's lives. And that's why, in fact, modern economics was born in this room, either this room or 26100. Okay? By Paul Samuelson in the 1940s and 50s, who wrote the fundamental textbook that gave birth to modern economics, because he was here and applied the kind of engineering principles of MIT to actually develop the field of modern economics. What we'll learn today was developed at MIT, so it's a great place to be learning it. Now, with that as background, okay, any questions about that? About what is microeconomics? Okay, with that as background, let's turn to the first model we'll talk about this semester, which is the supply and demand model. Supply and demand. Now, the way we're going to proceed in this course is going to drive you crazy. Because we're going to proceed by teaching as the very first question pointed out, by teaching very simplified models. Okay? We're going to essentially, what is a model? A model is technically a description between any two or more economic variables or any two or more variables. Okay? But unlike the models you use in all your other classes, these aren't laws, by and large. They're models. So we don't have a relationship between energy and mass, which we can write down as a law and we're done. We have models which are never 100% true, but always pretty true. Pretty being somewhere between 10 and 95% true. Okay?